And welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman, and this is another episode of Cottage Talk Fulham Media Buzz. This one is entitled, What is Going On with Willian? It is Wednesday. There's been a lot of stuff on social media in regards to Willian. I started to see it early this morning here in America. Just some rumors going on about Willian, and it actually took off from there. And I'll be sharing a couple of articles I have about the Willian situation with a club in Saudi Arabia in just a few minutes. Also want to mention in the second half of the show, I'm going to be actually talking about why I believe Fulham might be targeted by these Saudi clubs. This is just my opinion. And also to end the show, I'm going to ask the question, why are Fulham the only club that seems to be standing up to the Saudi clubs? I find that fascinating. They are the only one, in my opinion. I haven't seen many that have stood up to them. Fulham seem to be potentially the only one. Why is that? And I'll be talking about that at the end of the podcast. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. If you do listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review and a rating. I would really appreciate that. Okay, let's not waste any time. Let's talk about what's been going on all day. And I've been contacted by several people asking me the question, what is going on? Why are Fulham being targeted? I'll talk about my thoughts on that in the second half of the show, but let's talk about the news with Willian. I'm going to start with an article that just was posted by Chloe White on hamien.com. And then after that, I'm going to read an article on The Athletic, which gives more details to what's going on with Willian, the speculation with Willian. So this article by Chloe on hamien.com is entitled, Al-Shabaab Make Massive Willian Offer. Reading right from the article. Saudi Pro League side have approached Fulham winger Willian with a massive offer only 10 days after the Brazilian winger signed a new deal with the Whites. Fabrizio Romano reports that the 34-year-old's representatives are now in discussions with the Saudi side, but now that Willian has put pen to paper on a deal, committing himself to another 12 months in SW6, Fulham would be able to demand a serious fee in any negotiation. The former Arsenal and Chelsea winger professed his delight after agreeing terms on his new Craven Cottage contract and cited his desire to continue playing in the Premier League under Fulham head coach Marco Silva, who has rebuffed 3 offers to move to Saudi Arabia himself. Okay, so that is from Chloe, and she is actually referencing a tweet from Fabrizio Romano. Very interesting stuff. And I saw this earlier today. It wasn't from Fabrizio. Then he added his tweet about it, so he got some information. And it's, like I said, it's taken off from there. And before I give my thoughts on all of this, on do I buy the stories, I'm going to share another story, which I think has more details to it, from Simon Johnson on The Athletic. This one is entitled, Fulham winger Willian receives offer from Saudi club Al-Shabaab. Okay, so I'm going to read this. Fulham winger Willian has received an offer from Saudi club Al-Shabaab. The Brazilian last month signed a new contract with Fulham with a club option to extend for a further year after he had received an offer from Nottingham Forest. Al-Shabaab made the offer of a 1-year deal, which would double his wages to over £200,000 a week earlier this week. It is expected a fee will need to be paid for the 34-year-old after he signed his new deal last month. Fulham say they have not received an offer for the player. Willian went as far as to visit Forest training ground before deciding to agree a new deal with Fulham. After signing, Willian said, quote, I'm completely happy to sign 1 more year with Fulham, happy to continue the work that I did last season with all my teammates. Willian returned to England last summer and played 27 Premier League games for Fulham, having signed from Corinthians in his native Brazil. He previously played for Chelsea for 7 seasons and Arsenal for 1. Al-Shabaab are not one of the 4 Saudi Pro League clubs, Al-Nasser, Al-Ittihad, Al-Ali, and Al-Hilal, who were taken over by the country's public investment fund in June, a move which has led to several high-profile European players moving to the league this summer. Okay, that is an article from Simon Johnson and Peter Rutzler on The Athletic. So just wanted to share some details on that. So here are my thoughts on that. Do I buy the stories? I do buy both the stories. I buy the story from Fabrizio Romano. Like I said, I saw speculation about this earlier this morning, and then Fabrizio jumped on. And then, of course, now you have a follow-up coming from Simon Johnson and Peter Rutzler in The Athletic with actual details of the deal being £200,000 a week for Willian. So there's information there. So I'm buying the stories. I'm absolutely buying the stories. The question is, will Willian take the deal? Will Willian want to move after just signing a contract with Fulham? That's number one. I'd be hard-pressed to say that he will take it because he had just signed a deal living in London with his family. So I have a hard time seeing him going to Saudi Arabia. That's number one. Could it happen? The money is huge there. So it could happen, but I still have my doubts that this will actually happen. Could he use this to get more money out of Fulham? Absolutely. He could be using this as a chip to try to get more money out of Fulham. However, I don't know if that would work, to be honest with you, because he had just signed a contract. I'm a believer is that you honor your contract. So I'm going to say I don't think Fulham should do anything in regards to this situation with Willian. An offer might come from this Saudi club, and they should just basically say, not for sale. He just signed the deal. He's a Fulham player. It is only a 1-year deal. However, they do not have to sell Willian. He made the decision to come to Fulham. I just read some quotes. It sounds like he's happy being back at Fulham. So the deal's done. They can make the offer. And I have a strong feeling, I could be wrong, that Fulham will just say no on this if they get this offer, which apparently they have not been given any transfer offer yet from the Saudi club. But when they do, this is just my opinion, I expect them to basically just reject it and say not for sale. Now, I don't know what the amount's going to be. I have no idea what the amount's going to be. But I just have a feeling with the history right now with Fulham Football Club and these Saudi clubs that Fulham Football Club will reject the offer. And honestly, they should be rejecting the offer. He just signed a contract. They should be rejecting this, and they should just be moving on from this. Have a talk with Willian on this. Hey, that's great that you have an offer, but you're under contract with us. You agreed to the deal. Honor your contract. I'm going to say that one more time. Honor your contract. It might only be 1 year, but listen, Fulham gave this player a lifeline last season. He played great. He's now come back, and I hope that this story goes no further after the offer from the Saudi club comes, because Fulham really should not be selling Willian. And I'll say this one more time. I'm actually enjoying all of these stories because I just think that there are certain clubs that thrive under chaos, and I believe Fulham are one of them. It could basically bring a club together, and I think all of this is bringing Fulham together. You have some really good leaders at Fulham Football Club. I'm thinking of players like Andreas Pereira, especially Tim Ream, Tom Kearney. And all this will do is bring the team together. I've seen it before with another team I follow. There's been so much chaos with the New England Patriots. And all the chaos did, all the noise, it brought them together to win things, to win titles. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Fulham Football Club. But this could go one of two ways. Either they would implode or actually they could have an incredible season. I don't see basically a mid-table situation here. Either it was going to go all the way to the other way and Fulham would fight relegation, or they're going to contend for Europe. I'm going to go with the latter and say they're going to contend for Europe. So all of this chaos, all of this speculation, keep on bringing it, because all I think it does is bring Fulham Football Club closer together. I truly believe that. And you have an ownership that has stood strong so far. So coming up next, I'm going to talk about a couple of things in regards to the situation with these Saudi clubs, with Fulham Football Club. Okay, to end this episode of Cottage Talk Fulham Media Buzz, I have a couple topics that I want to address to end the show. So I was actually tweeted this, and I have some interesting thoughts on it. And the tweet was, Russ, why are Fulham being targeted? And we're talking about, basically, I'm paraphrasing, the Saudi clubs. Why are they being targeted? It's an interesting question. One, I think Fulham have players that other clubs want right now. Two, I think, after talking to a friend of mine, I think the perception of Fulham Football Club, because of the size of Fulham Football Club, is that Fulham are a selling club. So, of course, if I come in with an offer, you're going to take it. So those are the two reasons right there that I think Fulham are being targeted. The third reason, again, this is just my opinion, could be what Tony Khan said in an interview. That could be a factor here. I don't know. I'm speculating that what Tony Khan said to the Dan Le Batard show might have ticked off more than a few people in Saudi Arabia. Could have, because again, I would recommend you watching that interview if you want more details on that. But he said something about the Saudi situation that some in Saudi Arabia might have taken offense to. So there are three reasons why I think Fulham are being targeted by the Saudi clubs. But here's the thing. Fulham have shown strength here. They have absolutely shown strength. And that's going to go to my final topic to end this episode of Cottage Talk. Fulham seem to be the only club to stand up to the Saudi clubs. I find that fascinating. What other club has turned them down at this point on transfers? There probably are. There have been players that have turned them down. But has there been clubs that have turned them down? As far as I know, Fulham are the only ones with a Mitrovic situation to basically reject them. And all I can say is this shows that Fulham have ambition. Now, things can change, like I said, with a Mitrovic situation. Maybe things will change with a Willian situation. But as of right now, with my recording, I have seen strength from the Khans to stand up to not just these Saudi clubs, but other clubs that want their best players. Look what has been going on with João Palhinha. Absolutely nothing. Bids have come in. They've been rejected. Now, like I said, Fulham have the reputation of the size of the club of being a selling club. I think the Khans are trying to flip the script on that. And that to me is powerful. The fact that they're standing up to the Saudi clubs, the fact that they're standing up to Premier League clubs wanting Palhinha is massive. So that's why I've been about this kick about the chaos to embrace the chaos, because I just think we're seeing strength from Fulham Football Club. I believe we're also seeing a club coming together. I don't see them imploding. I see them thriving. They just need to get more players in. But I am just looking at what the Khans have done in these situations with the Saudi clubs and also in the Palhinha situation. And I'm just looking at it and I'm just saying, I think they're doing all the right things. I've criticized them when they deserve it. I obviously will always criticize things that are not going well with Fulham Football Club. I criticize their model, their business model, because I think that they're too interested in looking for good deals rather than just bringing in the player. I want more players in. They deserve criticism for that. They're not doing it quick enough. They should be spending some extra money to get players in. But when it comes into the situation of keeping their own players, they are showing strength. So I just want to end by talking about that. Final topic, Fulham seem to be the only club to stand up to the Saudi clubs. And I'll say so far. We'll see if things change. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.